Hey, Pretty Girl Club. So, I want to talk some more about this whole pretty privilege concept and about how pretty women who attain pretty privilege, they are often not just pretty. I think that actually this whole video is based on a comment left by someone in the comments section saying that a lot of people think that being pretty is kind of like this golden ticket, like you just won the lottery. And yes, even though you may have won the genetic lottery, when it comes to succeeding in life, depending on your personal goals for what success means to you, you're going to need more than just looks, unless your goal is only to look pretty and that's it. But usually, people use pretty privilege as a stepping stone. So they want to look pretty so that they can attract a mate, or so they can look good on camera, or so they can do a business, or so they can feel more confident. So being pretty is usually a stepping stone to something else. But I've noticed that a lot of people, they will use socialites as an example of women who are kind of just pretty and then they have nothing else going for them. So I see a lot of people who they like to talk shit about women like Lori Harvey, and they think that women like her, they're just pretty and that's it. No, that's actually not true. Lori Harvey has much more than just pretty privilege. Think about all the famous people there are in this world. Think about all the NBA players, all the soccer players, all the golf players, and all of the washed up celebrities, and think about how many kids each of those people have. That's thousands of people. So Lori Harvey could have just been yet another stepchild of a famous person and left it at that. There are plenty of people who are related to famous people who are not famous themselves. It actually does take a work ethic and some competitiveness, and it takes lots of other qualities in order for you to get on the level that Lori Harvey is on. So she went from a nobody to basically like this socialite. Lori Harvey is very hardworking, actually. She has what I call career privilege. That's just a term that I made up because it's the best way I can describe it. She's been modeling for 23 years. Did you know that? You probably didn't know that. So she has skill in that area. She was able to model for Dolce & Gabbana. She's been doing it since she was a kid. So she's been working with modeling agencies. She's a persistent person. She also used to ride horses competitively. So that tells you that she's a competitive person. Now let's look up some of the benefits of being a competitive person. What are the psychological benefits of competition? Healthy levels of competition can improve self-esteem and increase enjoyment of life. It can also motivate people to work harder towards their goals. Lori Harvey is a competitive person. She doesn't just sit around and watch other people succeed and then complain about it. I don't see Lori Harvey doing interviews complaining about how Hailey Bieber has white privilege and how Hailey Bieber is more famous than her. But you know who I do see on a lot of interviews talking about one of her colleagues and how much more successful she is? Kelly Rowland. I feel like Kelly Rowland has been doing interviews about Beyonce for the last 20 years. It's like, Kelly, you could have made how many albums by now? Anyway, I don't see Lori Harvey keeping that same energy towards all the white socialites. I don't see Lori Harvey online talking about how Bella Hadid is more privileged than her because Bella Hadid is also a model and she got to do more fashion shows. I don't see Lori Harvey online talking about how Kendall Jenner has more modeling gigs than her. And isn't Kendall Jenner like the highest paid model in the world? I don't see Lori Harvey online complaining about how she gets paid less because she's a woman of color and Kendall Jenner gets paid more. No, Lori Harvey has so many other skills other than attaining pretty privilege. She knows how to focus on herself. In fact, one of Lori Harvey's quotes is, "I want to have so much fun that I don't know if you guys are having fun." So what she's basically saying is, I want to be so focused on living my best life to the point where I don't even give a fuck if everybody else is living theirs. Another quote from Lori Harvey is, "I don't think there's an article you can find about me that doesn't have allegedly or rumored in it, because there's no confirmation and they don't care to fact check." Lori Harvey knows how to move in silence. She gives Beyonce vibes when it comes to the way that she interacts. She's not going around on social media twerking everywhere and like doing all these crazy backflips and stuff and crazy booty dances and stuff on the red carpet. She's a very private person. She will do an entire interview and not mention any names. And she doesn't usually come out and openly talk about her personal business. That is a form of privilege right there. Knowing how to move in silence, that's a huge privilege. So This is why on this channel, I specifically talk about being strategic. Lori Harvey is strategic as fuck. By the way, let's take a look at Lori Harvey's friend group because I noticed that she is even strategic when it comes to her friendships. Lori Harvey has lots of famous friends like Justine Skye, Normani. She knows how to be around other women who are leveled up. She is pictured here with people like Ryan Destiny. So she knows how to stay in circles where people are also kind of going after their own goals. She's also friends with women like Jordan Woods. So that's another privilege that you can have. It's a form of social climbing. Lori Harvey is very good at social climbing. Social climbing is using your social skills to make friends with and rub shoulders with and learn from and hang out with other people who are also leveling up. And this is actually what I talk about in my Patreon. We have an entire community of women who are secretly doing our thing behind the scenes, whether it's starting businesses, starting our own Instagrams, our own YouTube channels, and we are doing things to level up. And I've noticed that Lori Harvey is also the same way. She doesn't hang around ghetto ass, ratchet ass people who are like not doing anything with their lives. She hangs out with the Pretty Girl Club, but the Hollywood version of that. So she hangs out with other women who are like doing their own thing. And this is why on this channel I talk about the concept of privilege stacking, because I know that just one privilege alone will usually not get you to where you want to get, and it usually won't get you all of the fulfillment that you want in life. For example, a lot of people talk about white privilege, but think about how many white people there are who have failed in life, living in trailers, and they're living in poverty. So their whiteness, their white privilege, it wasn't enough, obviously. And that's because, in my opinion, one privilege alone is never enough. Think about how people who win the lottery, they go from being in poverty to suddenly having wealth privilege overnight. But because they didn't have the other privileges required to sustain that wealth, they lost all of their wealth within a few years, and a lot of them end up in greater debt, or they end up like financially worse off than they were before they had the money. So it actually takes more than just pretty privilege to sustain a certain level of success. So this is why I say, Pretty Girl Club, think of what success means to you and then figure out what privileges you will need to acquire that. So for example, does success for you, does it mean having a good relationship with a guy? Does it mean getting married? Does it mean going to a good college? Does it mean being a model and being famous? What does success mean to you? Because a lot of people equate popularity to success, and that's fine. I definitely think that pretty privilege will help you when it comes to being popular, but guess what? There are also people who are popular and famous who are not considered pretty. There are plenty of people who are famous. Think about all of the presidents that we've had, all of the politicians that we've had. Some of the politicians in the United States are very conventionally not attractive or whatever, but they are still quote unquote popular and powerful. So this is why it's important to think about what success means to you, and hey, do I need to be pretty in order to be successful at this, or can being pretty help me? In the 9-to-5 world, I think that being pretty, it can help you to get the job, but being pretty can actually hinder you from keeping the job, because depending on how many bitter women work at that same place, it can cause people to like be jealous of you and start rumors about you. I mean, this is a part of why I walked out of my accounting job just 2 weeks ago. So how important do you think pretty privilege is? I would say that as a woman, I think that when it comes to dating, for example, yes, pretty privilege is number one. That's it. You want to be pretty because when you're pretty, you're going to attract the most options. You're going to attract the most attention initially. And most guys don't give a fuck about how smart or nice you are if they find you to be ugly. So I think that yes, in the dating market, for example, being pretty is very important. And this is why I say that this whole colorism, texturism, featureism, anti-blackness, pretty privilege conversation, this is why I say this is actually about romantic relationships, because romantic relationships are the only scenario that I can think of to where being pretty is kind of like the top thing, where it's like you have to meet this minimum barrier of entry just to even get a guy's attention. So I do agree with that. Yes, how you look matters a lot when it comes to initial attraction. So if you're a woman who feels like you're ugly, then you're not even getting the initial attraction. So yeah, I get it. That is a disadvantage. That's a huge disadvantage in the dating market. And this is why I say a lot of this colorism, texturism, featureism stuff, it's about the male gaze. It's about wanting to be desirable. I mean, just the term desirable, what does that even mean? It means desirable by the opposite sex. It means desirable according to men. So, when it comes to pretty privilege, I believe that it should be used in conjunction with as many other privileges as possible. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of this video, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.